Okay, let's get started with increasing the use of ability to benefit and creating a state-driven process. So I am Angela Gerberding with Illinois Community College Board, and I am the Associate Director for Integrated Career Programs. And basically that means I oversee all of the ICAPs programs in the state of Illinois. So the groups that are in adult ed, that are helping students transition and move into CTE through coursework and support courses to get towards a career that they can have a higher wage in and support their family and continue with. But part of that feeds into some of that is the possibility of using ability to benefit. So that's where this all fits into that today. Ability to benefit started back in the 90s. It's transformed a little bit. It's had some different changes. In 2012, it was eliminated, federally funding. So if you've heard that ability to benefit went away, you are correct. But in 2016, late 2015, and officially started 2016, it came back. It was reauthorized by the federal government and funding. So what I want to talk about a little bit is the before 2016 and after 2016, because while it's back, it's not in the same exact form that it was. So if you're familiar with ability to benefit from before and you've heard it's gone, well, first it's back and it looks a little bit different. So before, students were only eligible for part of a Pell Grant award. They weren't able to get the full thing. Now they are eligible for a full Pell Grant allocation, which is good for them. Another difference is that before there was not really a definition of what a pathway was or what adult ed was, other than it had to be concurrent enrollment in adult ed and post-secondary programs. But that doesn't really clarify what a pathway is, or even adult ed takes on many different forms. So what does that mean? So with the new version, there are allowable pathway options, and those mirror the WIOA pathways. So if you're in adult ed, it's the pathways that you're already working with. And there's a document that we have shared in the handouts from class that Lauren will talk about a little bit, but it gives specific definitions of what's included in an allowable pathway. The new definition also includes that it enables individuals to attain a high school diploma or its equivalents. So again, there's some differences there that you're working towards a high school diploma. The other major difference is that it said students must be co-enrolled in adult ed and post-secondary at the same time, which for an ICAPs program works, but the new one says that students have to participate in both portions, but adult ed can be prior to post-secondary coursework. So it's not only in an ICAPs that students are going to be eligible for ability to benefit. If a student has gone through adult ed or has been in adult ed, they don't have their high school diploma yet, but they've dropped out of adult ed classes for whatever reason, their life took over and they had to do things that classes don't meet their times, work schedules, family schedules, what all those benefits that were those reasons that we know why students drop out, but they come back and they want to enroll in a welding course or in a healthcare course. They can do that and still possibly use ability to benefit because they have been in adult ed in the past. It's not that they have to be co-enrolled at the same exact time. Now, most students probably will be co-enrolled at the same time. It's just an easier transition. It makes that smoother. So the requirements, a lot of you may be wondering, what are the requirements for students and for colleges? So students have to either pass an approved test or earn 6 college credits before they're able to be placed on ability to benefit. There are approved tests that are often what colleges or universities would use for placement tests. So it's not going to be the TABE, it's not going to be the CASAS that adult ed people are familiar with. There's a list of an approved test. If you've got a question about what those are, I have that list. Shoot me an email. I'll give you my email at the end of this, and shoot me an email. I'll be happy to share that list with you. Lauren probably has resources that can tell you what that list is as well. Or they can earn 6 college credits. which is where the ICAPs program can come in handy if they can get some college credits through the ICAPs course before they have their high school diploma or high school equivalency, then they're eligible for ability to benefit. So those are the two most common options. The third option is what we're going to talk about a little bit later today as well, is completing a state process that's been approved by the U.S. Secretary of Education before being placed on ability to benefit. So there has to be a state process that ICCB will come up with, working with other people, which is where some of this conversation leads to. If that's what we decide we want to do, then students don't have to do the test. They don't have to have the 6 credits unless those are pieces that we put into the state process. So once we put that state process together, we send it to them for approval. They say yay or nay. Here's what you need to fix. Here's what we don't like. We fix it. You know, there's back and forth with that until that approval happens, and then that's an option. The other requirement that students must have is they must be enrolled in a Title IV eligible career pathway program. Again, those are connected to those, they mirror those WIOA pathways, which is where many of the ICAPs programs are headed into. So they don't have to be in an ICAPs, but they could join that healthcare class for a CNA class, or a medical interpreting class, or a welding class, or a CNC class, whatever kind of career pathway is currently being offered. So that's what the students have to do. Now, what do the colleges have to do? Because we have to do stuff. Colleges have to be part of this as well. They have to maintain documentation that the programs that the students enroll in are Title IV eligible. So once they're approved as Title IV eligible, the college has to maintain those documents somewhere. Colleges also must offer students on ability to benefit the opportunity to also earn a high school credential. So if a community college says we want to do ability to benefit, but there is no high school equivalency program, there's no GED program, there's no adult ed program that they're able to do, they're not going to be eligible for the ability to benefit program. So they've got to have that option of how can the student do this other part of it. And then at the bottom is the resource where I got that information from. The other thing that we've got some information about is ICCB did a survey back in February of 2019, so about a year and a half ago. The goals of the survey were to understand if and how community colleges were using ability to benefit, but also to understand the challenges faced in implementing or scaling ability to benefit. Because we didn't want to just know if you were using it, but we also want to know what was going on. How was that happening? What was stopping you maybe from doing it? The response rate that we had was 33 of the 48 community colleges in the state answered, which is a 69% response rate, which is pretty decent. The first question was, is the college utilizing the ATB provisions? So this went out to individuals. So the individuals had 3 answers. They had yes, no, or unknown. So your blue is your yes, which is 31%. Your orange, kind of rust color down here, is your no, which is 29%. And the green is the unknown. Now, I haven't been able to, I wasn't at ICCB, I wasn't directly involved in the survey, so I haven't been able to identify yet who exactly these went to, but that could have been instructors that just, in the adult ed side, that just don't know if the college is using ability to benefit. So about, it's kind of evenly split on the yeses and nos, and we're not really sure if we're using it, which is something we can follow up on. But that's also why we're offering the session today, to get you all more information. The second question we asked was specifically, is the college utilizing ATB for adult ed students enrolled in adult education / integrated education and training programs, so your ICAPs. The ones that were utilizing them with the IETs, which is the ICAPs, was 36.36%. Not being utilized with this was 63.64%. That's a huge difference. But the reason we went on and asked, if you're not utilizing it, why are you not utilizing it? And the answer was because either there's no IETs available. Okay, well then you can't use it. The college was not using ability to benefit. Okay, had to know. or ability to benefit was being underutilized. So again, I know IETs are becoming more necessary on the adult ed side of things. So if you haven't been contacted yet, you should be soon, because those adult ed programs are needing to start building IETs, or already building and continuing, scaling, improving, adding. So these should be coming. So hopefully this number can go down and this number can go up, because the students that we serve in adult ed and some of the CTEs would benefit significantly from being in this program. So hopefully that's something that we can work towards. Another question, number 3, was who are the primary populations that are utilizing ability to benefit? So English language learners, those are the ones that are in adult education, 2.6%. That's a pretty low number. But we also know that not all ESL students need a high school diploma. Many of them come with a high school diploma or college or whatever degrees from their home countries. So that number could be lower for that reason. And then you get into the undocumented, it's a whole nother conversation. But ability to benefit can be used with English language learners as long as they have legal documentation and they do not have a high school diploma. Lauren, you can correct me on that if that's not correct. Students without a high school diploma, so those were the students in adult education that was using ability to benefit, was 27.7%, still pretty low. And then the non-adult ed students, so these were students off the streets that came in and said, I don't have a high school diploma. They discovered ability to benefit, and they're at 69.7%. So this green is that non-adult ed, the rust colored is the no high school but within adult ed, and then this little bitty blue line, there's your ELLs populations. So, you know, I've got this for those of you that need numbers, and I got this for those of you that are more visual and go, whoa, hold on. So for the adult ed people, we need to be trying to learn more about this, talking to people at the college, what can we do? Is this an option? Because we want to help our students move on, so this is one way to do that. And help with some payment. Please describe challenges your college has encountered with ability to benefit. The most selected answers, we offered about 12 answers. The most common ones, the very top one was lack of knowledge of when and who can use ability to benefit under the new guidelines. Well, here's a presentation about that exactly. So hopefully we can eliminate those 7 and maybe some others. The current ability to benefit provisions limit which students actually can qualify to receive federal aid. Okay, we can't change those requirements, but if we can make you more informed, maybe that will help. 4 of the colleges said they didn't have any challenges with ability to benefit. Great, good for them. Establishing an eligible career pathway program was a problem for them because they didn't have it. Again, this week can be resolved some with the help of the adult ed people. Building your ICAPs programs and putting those into place can help eliminate some of this. And cross-departmental coordination and training. That's probably what I've heard the most about, is that either financial aid understands it but isn't sharing information, or they don't know who to share it with because they're not sure who in adult ed they should be contacting or who in CTE they should be contacting. Adult ed wants more information, but they're not sure who in financial aid to talk to. And when they do call, they don't get information that's logical to them. You know, just cross-departmental information sharing, training, all of that sort of thing. The adult ed people do not want to take over financial aid's job. Financial aid does not want to take over adult ed. And the same goes with CTE. The CTE people know their stuff. Adult ed people know their stuff. We're not trying to take over each other's areas, but we are trying to work together for the benefit of the student. So more information sharing would be great on all sides. Question 5, what do other colleges need to consider as they scale implementation? So you start this, then what do you need to know? The most common answer was, we're not really sure what they need to know. And part of that is because this could change college by college. So I understand that answer. The next one is ensure frontline staff understand the ATB provisions and refer students to take an ATB test. Again, this kind of goes back to that coordination across departments If the adult ed people don't know that this is an option, they can't talk to students about it. If they don't know that the test is an option, they can't talk to students about it. If they don't know which tests are options, they can't share information with the students about it. So that communication has to happen. Communication plans with departments and students. Hey, communication, there's another one. Develop a process for monitoring program changes to ensure student still qualifies for aid under ATB. So if an IET changes or an ICAPs program adjusts or shifts or moves, is that student still eligible? That's a fair question. Oh, too far. Sorry. Information guides and materials for students, families, parties, unfamiliar with ability to benefit. So again, consider putting some of this information together that you can share with the students, you can share with families. And again, the parties could be people on campus. You know, it could be registration people, it could be financial aid, it could be advising, it could be the bookstore, it could be adult ed and CTE, which we've talked about. It could be a whole number of people all over campus that just need the information. So if there's a guide or a flyer or something somewhere that can be accessed on a website, it can be emailed to campus-wide, and an announcement sharing kind of thing. All of those are gonna, and maybe you don't give every single minute detail, but you list who specifically to contact, because I think most colleges have one or two individuals in their financial aid department that are responsible for ability to benefit. So who do you start with in financial aid? Because financial aid may be 8 or 10 people. How do they get to the right person the first time instead of trying to track through 5 or 6 people? So at this point, do any of you have any questions, or have used ability to benefit and you have some advice to share on things you've learned, you've seen, issues, excuse me, that your students have had, and how you found workarounds with them? This is the time you can either unmute yourself, or you can type those into the chat box, and Lauren and Christina and I will track those and see how those go. And then after this, we'll turn it over to Lauren and let her continue on with her portion.